Ladies and gentlemen, it's story time on a Friday night. Tell us a story, boys.
Good evening out there. Paul Gowder here, PowWows.com. Got a great guest on tonight's show and some special announcements. We'll get started in just another couple minutes. Post in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. Hello, everybody. Gonna go live or start the interview in just a couple more minutes. Give everybody a chance to get online. While we're waiting, let me know where you're from. Would love to hear from you. Also, got a debate topic for tonight. We got two of them actually, but the first one. The Senate just passed a bill that they're going to get rid of changing our clocks. Are you pro or against it? What do you think? Good evening, everybody. Paul Gowder here from PowWows.com. Thanks so much for being here. This is our weekly live show, Pow Wow Nation Live, so welcome back. If you're a first-timer, thanks for being here. PowWows.com is your place to come and learn, explore, connect, and experience Native American culture. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Tonight, I've got a really special interview with Chef Pyet. Here's her picture. She is a member of the Prairie Band Potawatomi, and she was just on Fox's new show, Next Level Chef, and she won it. So we're going to have an interview with her, but first I do have a few announcements. So I see a couple people starting to comment. Hello, everybody. I'd love to hear where you're from, but also I've got two debate topics for you tonight. I'll remind you of these throughout the show because I want to hear from you. One I mentioned in the beginning, the Senate just passed a unanimous bill. I can't believe the two parties actually came together on something, and they're going to try to get rid of changing our clocks. So are you in favor or against it? Do you want to keep going back and forth with time, or are you good just to leave it where it is? I'd love to hear your comments on that. Two, the bracket started today. It is NCAA March Madness. There's already been some crazy games. So who's your pick? And let me know if your brackets are already busted. I've got my hat on. I'm ready to cheer on the South Carolina Gamecocks in the women's bracket. We are the #1 seed in the women's bracket. So go Gamecocks. So that's super fun. Let's see. You got Sherry from Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks so much. First time here. I was curious, so we do have a music station. Go search out Pow Wow Radio. Over on our website, we do have a place there you can go and listen to lots of music. And of course, our YouTube channel is full of powwow videos, some great singing over there. We've got over 8,000 videos, I believe. And you're from upstate New York. Hello, Thunder Bay, Ontario's here. Awesome. Brenda says she's good with going back and forth. Love to spring forward, but hate to fall back. Yes, I'm the opposite, actually. I hate springing forward, love the fall back. Marilyn says, leave it the way it is. Or leave the time the same way year round. Yes. See, I kind of like just leaving it as long as it stays the time we're at right now. All right. Benita from Texas, hello. And John from Texas, hello. All right. All right. So a couple of announcements. Let's see. First, I want to thank everybody for all of the messages this week, and email, and on the comments. I announced last week that after working a day job and doing PowWows.com on the side for 25 years, I'm finally full-time. This is it. I am all in on PowWows.com. I was able to retire from my day job. So thanks for all the comments and well wishes. The support has been amazing. Thank you all for that. I really appreciate that. I'm enjoying being full-time. It's still a lot to get used to, and some other things, we'll take on some other projects and things, and we'll get some more stuff going here soon, but still adjusting to it. Also want to announce we've got some new products out in the shop. There's the address where you can go and buy some of our stuff, and for the next 4 or 5 days we do have a sale, 10% off, 10% off our new t-shirt. Let me pull that up. Let me pop over here. Here's our new shirt. We got a couple of new shirts. Here's one of them. We do have a 2022 Pow Wow season shirt, and those are 10% off right now. You don't need a coupon code. Just go shop for that, and it'll automatically be taking the discount. We also have our new hello shirt, which is made up of over 20 native words for hello in different languages. So check that out as well. And we have lots of other new products. We've added a lot of tank top options and some new designs. New water bottle that's a camelback, really nice stuff. A puzzle, actually, see if anybody likes puzzles. I got that in there. But all of that is available over on the shop, so check that out. And it's 10% off going on through Monday, I believe, on the 2022 Pow Wow season shirts. All right, a couple more comments. Let's see. One more, leave it as it is. Benita says, spring forward, messing with me. I didn't, that was like Monday or Tuesday this week. God, I felt like I just hit a wall. It really got to me. Kansas City, Kansas, hello. Washington State here and South Central Kansas. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here. All right, we also have a contest going on right now. In honor of my retirement, we are giving away a pin away last month. This month we are giving away, and here's a picture of it. Let me pop over. We're giving away a Teton Trade Cloth honor blanket. You can enter to win over at www.PowWows.com/win. You can enter daily for even more chances, so go check that out. Lots of ways to enter, and the more ways you enter, as always, the better your chances of winning. So go check that out, www.PowWows.com/win. What else? Oh, and we have a sponsor again. They are back for another month, so let me play a word from our sponsor.
Do you know I love you so, and mommy will never let you go. To the stars and the sky, you'll always be mommy's little guy. Hey oh, hey oh, hey oh.
Thanks again for DHHS for sponsoring again this month, and trying to pop up their. You can learn more about their program, their ongoing program. Get vaccinated. Here's the t-shirt. www.PowWows.com/vaccine. Learn more about how you can help, and we can get through this Indian country. So there you go. All right. Also seeing Sherry. Hello. Congratulating Chef. Yeah, you're really going to enjoy this interview. She was fun to talk to, and if you haven't watched the show, be sure to go check that out. So let's get to the interview. Sorry, got an alarm going off. I need to turn on the alarm over at my mother's house. That's what that's about. We are trying to sell her old house. I got to make sure the alarm is back on now that the realtors are gone. Anyways, you didn't need to know all that. Sorry about the alarm. So Chef Pyet, she is a Prairie Band Potawatomi. She grew up on the Osage Reservation, but then spent the rest of her time in Kansas City, Kansas. And then she relocated to Los Angeles to really do the cooking thing. She did her own cooking and sold things herself. And she's since done personal chefs and all kinds of other stuff. And then she got to go on a reality show and killed it. So without any further words from me, let's jump in and hear from Chef Pyet. So watching the finale of the show, Gordon Ramsay said something to you right before he announced you a winner, that your background showed up in your cooking throughout the entire show. I mean, what does that mean to you? I mean, it gave me chills to hear him say something like that for an Indigenous chef, but what does that mean to you? And how did you bring your culture and your heritage into your cooking?
I think something that I've tried to do with my work the last couple of years is just to really try to represent myself and people like myself. And so kind of putting myself on the plate. And, to hear Gordon Ramsay say that was present and that he noticed and he acknowledged it, to me was validation that I'm doing the right thing, that, I'm not just doing food that everybody wants to eat. I'm cooking food that I'm passionate about and that makes sense to me. And I'm hoping to, be a voice for people like myself that are fusions. Like there's a lot of people here, in America that are now like this new generation of fusion people that come from different heritages, different backgrounds. And, it means a lot, and I'm very proud to be somewhat of a voice for those people and to kind of present this new era of like fusion people, to the forefront into the culinary world. So what I try to do is take native food and mix it with Mexican food, because those are both of my heritages, and create like really bold, beautiful dishes. And I was able to do that with, the brunch taco that I made in the competition. And that was my favorite dish because I had fry bread, I had chorizo, I had like the strawberry salsa, and it was just a phenomenal dish. It was great. Something that I'm actually going to put on my menu for my pop-up restaurants. So being able to bring those two heritages together and make these beautiful dishes that were validated by Gordon Ramsay is like, wow, super incredible.
Yeah, that was a heck of a compliment to give. It was really cool to see that. So let's back up. So how did you get into cooking? I mean, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I have to let my cat outside.
No problem.
Okay, sorry. I have a cat that she's the dog. So I was born in Oklahoma, and my really early childhood was raised on Osage Reservation in Pahuska, Oklahoma, and then was moved to Kansas, where most of all of my family is from, and grew up in Kansas the majority of my life. And my heritage background is Native American, so I'm a member of the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation. And we also have Sac and Fox blood in our family. And on my dad's side, my dad is Mexican American. So his mother is American French, Spanish French descent, and then his father is from Mexico. So I grew up with, and my last name is De Spain, which is the most Spanish French I could possibly get. So I'm a fusion of all of these, cultures and these things, but I grew up, very much so within the native, native ceremony and traditions, and learning a lot about that and kind of being engulfed into that heritage and that culture. So how I decided that, how I got into cooking initially was just taking my experiences growing up with these two cultures that value food. And food is a sense of, community. It brings communities together, it brings families together. And so, food was always a celebratory, thing. Like you make a dinner and everyone's like together eating at the same table. And on my dad's side, that's where everyone loves to cook. So my grandmother owned a restaurant called Tres Fueras, which was Mexican food. And then I had two uncles that owned like taqueria, cantina type of restaurants. And so I grew up with this family that has this passion and love for food, to the point that like so much that they were investing their life savings into these restaurants, because that's how much we love food as a family. So I grew up around people that just love food, valued food. And I've been cooking, pretty much my whole life. In our family, if you are old enough to join the assembly line of making tamales, then you're there making tamales with everybody. And then it's something you're doing with the family, and then you guys get to all enjoy it together and talk about what you would do differently, or maybe the salsa this time was perfect and last year it was, not as good, or that the meat is drier this year. Like, what did we do different? So just being raised in that environment of, people that love food, analyze food, we're super competitive with food, and we have such a big family, so everyone has to contribute to the meal somehow or another. And then on my mother's side, my grandmother, she's full-blood Native, but she does not know how to cook. So the two things that she did know how to cook, she did teach me, which was corn soup and fry bread. So she taught me those two things. And of course, corn soup is a major pillar in indigenous food and native culture. So there's a lot of cool stories behind corn soup, and everyone has their own recipes. And so I always thought that was really neat. And then of course you have powwows where you have, you know, the meat pies and fry breads and different stews and all the chili dogs, the corn dogs. Even though that those are not native foods, it's still something that we enjoy while we're there
Oh yeah.
experiencing. Yeah, like we're still there experiencing it and loving it. And so I think those were the major pillars of my life, like just having that heritage really contribute to my love for food. But I went to culinary school later on in life in my early 20s, and I was actually working in the automotive industry before I got into cooking full time. And I did great. I made great money, but there was just always something missing. And I think that something missing was I was actually in the wrong field of work. You know, I needed to be in the kitchen. And so I really just started cooking and as a hobby and learning about different cooking techniques and learning about different cuisines. And then finally it clicked. I was like, oh, I should probably go to culinary school and see what my options are. So that's really how the journey began.
And when did you go to culinary school? How long ago was that?
I went when I was 23, so about 7, 8 years ago.
Okay. And they talked about you were on the show, you know, they talked to you as the social media chef, you know, and you kind of came up doing things online. So yeah, talk a little bit about, you know, how I guess the new way we do things with TikTok and Instagram and all that. How did that affect you as a chef?
So it actually benefited me tremendously during COVID because I was doing, you know, there's a part of my journey where I talk about homelessness and experiencing, you know, kind of couch surfing here in Los Angeles. And it was pretty hard time for me just to, and it was kind of like, you know, at the time embarrassing because I had to ask people to like stay at their homes and use their showers. And I have a cat with me, and I'm not only is it me, but it's me and my cat. And so it was a very tough situation to be in because, you know, people, not everybody likes cats. And it just like, I felt so uncomfortable, but I ended up losing my jobs because I was I was teaching cooking classes at this culinary school that sold culinary like equipment and different like knives and cooking pans and all of like the cool stuff, the cool gadgets. And they had this little classroom off to the side where they were teaching cooking classes to the public. And so people would go there like, you know, religiously every week and try to learn something new. And so it wasn't necessarily a cooking school, but it was, you know, cooking classes. So I actually was working there, and then the pandemic hit and the business actually closed and got bought out by another company. So we had no jobs. Anyone that worked there for that company, we had no jobs. We lost our jobs. So I reverted to using social media as a way to connect with clients and customers. And I started teaching online Zoom cooking classes. And I was putting together these food boxes where I would pre-measure out all the ingredients and either ship it to the client or I would go drop it off at their door. So that way they'd have the recipe packets, they had, you know, all the food, and they didn't have an excess amount of food. They had the right amount of ingredients for everything. And so I started, you know, doing that. And I was hosting live cooking Instagram lessons and was teaching people how to do different things online. So that's what really sparked a lot of people's interest in learning about, you know, the type of food that I was cooking or just learning things in general. And I began to really developing a following after I was featured on BuzzFeed for indigenous recipes. And so it worked for my advantage. I later on, you know, ended up becoming a traveling private chef, which is why I stopped doing a lot of the social media stuff because I was busy, you know, traveling and I was like cooking on boats and doing all the really cool things. But, you know, being labeled as a social media chef, at first I was like, that's a negative thing. I'm like, I'm not just a social media chef. I went to school, I'm a professional, but it's not a bad, you know, it's a label to have at all. Because I think that you can reach so many people with social media, which is great. It really benefited me.
And COVID did a lot of bad things, but you hear these stories more and more of entrepreneurs really taking and seizing the opportunity and making something out of it. So that's awesome that it worked out for you. Have you always been a fan of cooking competition shows? I know you mentioned your family's competitive, but I mean, like, are you a diehard, Chopped fan or whatever? So how did you get to the show?
So I actually watched MasterChef and I've watched Chopped, and I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool to be on one of those shows. I ended up having one of my close friends. He entered me into the MasterChef competition like many years ago when I first moved to Los Angeles. He's like, you need to be on TV. Like, we need to make this happen. So like he secretly behind my back went and submitted an application on my behalf. And I was like, are you joking? Like, did you really do that? He goes, yes, I did. Did they call you? And I'm like, no. So they never casted me. So my friend is the one that also planted that seed. And I was like, man, maybe I should, apply for some cooking shows and see what happens. I didn't get casted for anything until later on. One of the casting directors or casting crew members called me and said, we got your information from a submission to Master Chef, but this is a different like Gordon Ramsay cooking show. It's called Hell's Kitchen. Like, do you want to interview for it? So I interviewed. I ended up getting casted, but I didn't take the opportunity. I was too afraid at the time. I also didn't think that it was a good fit for my skill set. Being a private chef, I would be going up against people that worked in the food industry for years as line cooks. And all of these people are there to win an opportunity to go cook for Gordon Ramsay as a chef in one of his restaurants. And I was just like, great, the exposure would be cool, but I don't think that that's for me. And I don't want to take up space for someone else if that's what their goal and their dream is. So I ended up passing up that opportunity. They then did the same thing and took my information, sent it over to the new casting directors and casting team for, Next Level Chef. And then the rest is history. So I actually barely made the cut for their casting for this season because they had 3 chefs that dropped out 1 week before they started filming.
Wow.
They were kind of scrambling to find quote unquote social media chefs. And they were like, this is a social media chef. Like, we need to interview her. They called me. We interviewed the same day. The next day, they're like, okay, great. We're going to put you through the entire process of, applying for the show. You have to go through like a psychiatric evaluation. You have to go through like all of these things, background check. And then they called me, 4 days later and said, okay, you're going to Las Vegas, pack up your bags. And I'm like, wait, when am I going? They're like, you're leaving in 4 days. And I'm like, what? So everything was just like super quick, and it's crazy. Like, it all just kind of happened serendipitously,
Sometimes that's just the way it happens, right?
Yeah.
So as you've been developing your cooking over the years and working through culinary school and then online and everything else, who have been those, I guess, the chefs that gave you inspiration? Are there some that you've looked up to?
Oh, definitely. I'm sure everyone's familiar with the name by now, but Sean Sherman, the sous chef, he's someone that is, has led the pavement, it's like kind of put down the bricks on the pavement for all of us chefs to really explore his work and learn from him. And also, be able to develop our own skill set within our heritage as food and indigenous food. And so I definitely like once he came out, which he's, I feel more recent within the past, 4 or 5 or about 4 years that we'll say 3 years that I've known about him, but he's been doing his work for quite some time. But before him, I was really looking up, to people like Anthony Bourdain that are just authentic. Is that the word I'm looking for? They're authentic.
Yes.
And they're just unapologetically themselves. And he expresses the side of culinary world that's grimy and grudgy and dirty and dark. And I really appreciate that about him. And he's over here is traveling the world and allowing us viewers for his show Parts Unknown, allowing viewers to see a part of the world that we wouldn't be exposed to had it not been from him going into those places. And so he really sparked an interest in me to really want to explore Native communities and culture, and kind of I have a goal to be able to shine a light on that, as well as like what it's actually like on reservations, because the world doesn't know. They think that we still live in teepees, and it's kind of an ignorant perception that they have Indigenous people. And so I would love to shine a light on like current day Native people and just really celebrate the lives and the culture of Native people. So those two specifically, but I mean, there's people that I've had in my life, like personable, that I've had experience cooking with. And one was my friend Nakia. She's an African American woman, and she's a chef, and just like she's such a strong person, and she has like very strong family core values, and she's super knowledgeable and an amazing chef. So these are people that along the way that I've looked up to and that have inspired me to go over and beyond and say, I think I want to be the voice of people like myself, which I feel like is a brave and courageous thing to do because, I haven't always been super confident. And, there's growing up multicultural, you don't know, where you fit in. I'm not native enough. I don't speak the language. I don't look native. I don't look Mexican either, but I don't speak Spanish fluently. So it's like you don't really fit in anywhere. So I had that struggle growing up. And now, and as an adult, I can be proud and celebrate both of my heritage and say, I don't have to look a certain way to be this or be that. I am just myself. And I'm kind of like a new generation of fusion of people.
I love that. Yes. And being yourself is the key. That's a great. I love that. All right. So for people like myself who struggle just to follow the recipe on the, we download online or whatever, what tips do you have for somebody like that to become that next level, cooking and get skills and can jump outside of just downloading a recipe?
My suggestion is literally just 1 second. She's normally not this crazy, but I've been on a lot of interviews. She's like, pay attention to me. Okay, what was the question again? I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, for people like me that are struggling, yeah. What's the tips you have for that?
So my recommendation and suggestions are to literally just get in the kitchen and just start doing things, like just explore. And you're not going to obviously know what to do right away. And before you try to take on like a super hard recipe that's like, has 10,000 ingredients, just explore different things, like trying different spices together, or, you have to start somewhere. And it's okay that if you burn things a few times, because even professional chefs, we still burn things. And if it's something, really wanting to learn how to cook, practice and repetition is going to be your best friend. So when you cook, chicken, for instance, try cooking it at different temperatures for different times. Make sure you have like one of those little thermometer, meat thermometers, so you can make sure your chicken's cooked all the way through. So that's a major tip, is like buy yourself a thermometer, because people are like, how do I, cook the perfect steak? And it's all about timing. And then, check the temperature, and you can stop timing yourself when you hit the right temperature that you want, or the right cook that you want on your steaks. But definitely just get in the kitchen, just start throwing things around and see what you come up with, and try out different flavors. And so buy yourself some spices or some herbs or things that you're not used to, and just try them. And then find recipes revolved around those flavors that you like. So for instance, if you're huge on basil and you love basil, you can then Google, recipes that have basil in it, and then tons of things will come up. And I would just start from scratch basically, and get familiar with those flavors. And then once you get the flavors down, the techniques come, so now that you have a flavor profile, like, oh, this is the type of food that I like to make, and I'm familiar with these spices, then you can then go into, techniques of cooking different, different methods. And then, then the recipes become easier. So, little by little, step by step, just try things a little bit here and there, and slowly you'll get better.
Thanks. And I'm not the best cook, but I try sometimes. So what now? I mean, you this is a huge accomplishment, milestone, and you got a great prize that came out of this. So what now for you? Where are you heading?
So there's so much on the horizon right now. I'm working on a few different projects, and right now I'm really focused on connecting with the Native community, and really just firsthand hearing and seeing and experiencing the voices and the lives of Indigenous people of this country, especially if I'm going to be someone that's the voice or representing my heritages. I need to hear their voices and know exactly the struggles that they're going through, because the life that I live here in Santa Monica is not the same life that some people are living across the nation. So, how can I be a voice of people that I don't really know their lives? So my goal is to tour the nation, visits different reservations and different Native communities, learn from the people, hear their voices, celebrate with them, have it be kind of like a give take opportunity for me to be there to obviously do acts of service and give back to the community, but also I want to learn from the people, and I would learn different recipes that maybe I didn't grow up having or knowing, learning different cooking techniques, and just the stories of food and how important representation through food is for our people, and just having those conversations. So that's definitely a project that I'm working on, and it's going to be giving the circumstances of COVID. Luckily, we are in a better place. We're going into a better direction where things are opening up, and the mask mandates are, in some states are, going away, and we're actually able to conjugate as people again. So I'm really excited about that. So, and I have to get this funded. So having to get this project funded, and I would love to be able to document some of these experiences and share it with the world, so that way people can see not just the negative side of the stories of Indigenous people, and not just hearing about the genocide. And I think when people are constantly talking about the negative or the bad things that Native people are facing, it in a way weakens the spirit of our voices. And we need to be talking about just as equally and just as much as the celebration of our culture, and how we are so proud to be where we come from, and how rich the culture actually is. And so my goal is to be able to shine a light on that. And then also I'm working on a cookbook, I'm working on a memoir, because I have a crazy life that I've probably lived 1,000 lives in one. And I think I have a pretty unique story, and just being able to saying I'm a girl from Kansas that went to LA and became, a winner of a Gordon Ramsay show, that alone is an inspiring story. But all of the little obstacles and things that I've experienced within my life, I think make that story even better. And I would love to share that with the world. And so we have cookbooks, we have a children's cookbook, we have a memoir, we have the project of touring the nation. So I've got my plate full, that's for sure. But I'm doing it all with dedication to really strengthening the voices of Indigenous people. So that's what I've decided I want to dedicate my career and my life to doing.
That's fantastic. I can't wait to see where that goes. Thank you congratulations again. And thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to maybe more conversations about all the cool things that will be happening in the future.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks to Chef Pyet for being here with us and spending a few minutes reading the comments and watching you all react during that. She's really cool, and I can't wait to see where she's going to take this next. And hopefully she's going to be at some powwows, and maybe we'll get to see her. She mentioned after we finish the interview, she may come to gatherings. So who knows? Maybe she'll show up again. We'll bring her back on PowWows.com again. That would be really cool. Eva says she watched every episode. Yeah, that's cool. She's really good inspiration for Indian country. Really cool that she was able to do all that with her recipes on a show, on a major network. That was really awesome. And to have somebody like Gordon Ramsay, again, my first question to her is, what did it make her feel, and what was it like to have Gordon Ramsay say that he could tell that she put her heritage and culture into her recipes? I mean, what a compliment. That was awesome. So I hope you enjoyed that. We got some other guests coming soon. Thanks everybody for watching. Keep the comments coming. I'm still curious. We got the 2 questions out there. 1, who you pulling for in this year's brackets? Go Gamecocks, number 1 in the women's bracket. And 2, where are you? Do you want to keep changing times? Are you good with the proposed here and stop the clock moving forward and back and just leave the time where it is? I'd love to hear from you. Keep posting that. Want to also say thanks again for all the support out there. A special thanks to our Patreons out there. These are the ways you can help support us. Again, number 1 way you can help support PowWows.com is to continue to share, tell a friend, comment on our content. That is the number 1 way. It really helps us out a lot. And if you are able to join our Patreon, that would be awesome too, over at PowWowNation.com. Got a great community there, and I'd love for you to be part of that. Don't forget to also be sure to check out our calendar. I'm telling you, the calendar is filling up with powwows. My wife runs the calendar right now, and she is spending tons of time putting in all the new events. Powwows are back and back in a big way. So check that out. Make sure you're looking at it once or twice a week because we are really adding and updating powwow listings all the time. So I hope you were able to get to some out there in 2022. Don't forget, we got a special sale on our 2022 Powwow season shirt this weekend, 10% off. Go check that out over at www.powwows.com/shop. And don't forget to enter our contest over at www.powwows.com/win. And let's see, here's another little sneak peek of that new shirt. So go check that out. Anyways, again, I'm Paul Gowder, the founder of PowWows.com. Thank you all for being here. It is great to have you. Mickey, thank you so much for being here. I see your comments. Oh, Jayhawks fan. Okay. All right. I got them going kind of far. Kansas, let's see. We'll see how they do. Got some fry bread fans out there. Yes, yes. Not in the brackets per se. Yeah, it's not everybody's thing, but it's fun to fill out. My daughter always loves filling out one. Her and I really don't watch a whole lot of college football. I don't think or basketball. She doesn't watch any, but still loves to do the brackets. It's fun to sit there and do that. So, again, thanks everybody for being here tonight. We'll be back next week with another show, and I've got some more great guests coming. So thank you all for the support, and I will see you soon. Good night. Eva, I do see your comment about Powwow streaming. We've got some more live streams coming soon. So keep checking it out. We've got some great ones coming.